The attorney for the minor who Gaetz is accused of having sex with also called for the Ethics Committee to release their report on Gaetz. Quote, Mr. Gaetz's likely nomination as Attorney General is a pervasive development in a truly dark series of events. We would support the House Ethics Committee immediately releasing their report. She was a high school student and there were witnesses. And that point right there does seem to be one of the worst kept secrets in Washington, D.C. Here's
Donald Trump is loading up his clown car full of sycophants to roll into the White House. The latest added to the list is Matt Gaetz. But there are some roadblocks that might stand in the way of Matt Gaetz being a part of Donald Trump's cabinet. Brian Tyler Cohen broke all this down on his show. We're going to take a look at clips from Brian Tyler Cohen's show. I will chime in with my thoughts from time to time as well. Let's get into this together.
On the issue of vetting, though, how critical is it then to have access to what the House Ethics Committee has found in their investigation?
I think there should not be any limitation on the Senate Judiciary Committee's investigation, including whatever the House Ethics Committee has generated.
So you want to see it?
Absolutely.
That was Republican Senator John Cornyn from Texas dumping cold water on Matt Gaetz's plan to resign in an effort to prevent a, quote, highly damaging House Ethics Committee report from being released. Now, according to Punchbowl News, the committee planned to vote Friday on releasing this report. Ethics loses its jurisdiction over Gaetz when he leaves Congress. So clearly, that is why Matt Gaetz decided to resign effective immediately, but his whole plan here might not be the case after all. So think about this for a moment. Gaetz is set to be hit with a highly damaging ethics report. He needs to get out of Congress fast so that that report doesn't get released and Congress loses its jurisdiction over him once he's no longer a lawmaker. Donald Trump sees a win-win here. He can get a complete loyalist atop the DOJ, and he can do Gaetz a solid by giving him cover to leave Congress without the humiliation of it being the result of the report. And of course, doing Gaetz a solid means that Gaetz will be even more loyal to Donald Trump, if that's even possible. But one intended consequence is that now that Gaetz is up for the AG role, well, that requires vetting. And that means that the ethics report that Gaetz was hoping to bury just became that much more important. And so now, instead of the ethics report going away because Gaetz wanted to just get out of Dodge as fast as possible, the ethics report is going to be front and center in this impending confirmation hearing. It's going to be national news instead of maybe just a smaller story, which raises the obvious question then, will we see it? According to CNN, the House Ethics Committee is expected to discuss the fate of the long-awaited Gaetz report in a Friday morning meeting. That is tomorrow, meaning it may not be as dead as Matt Gaetz hoped that it would be given his swift resignation. The top Democrat on the Senate Judiciary Committee, Dick Durbin, reiterated those concerns.
The timing of Mr. Gaetz' resignation from the House raises serious questions about the contents of the House Ethics Committee report. We cannot allow this valuable information from a bipartisan investigation to be hidden from the American people.
In fact, it's almost being viewed as a fait accompli that this report is going to be released, even among Republicans. Here's Republican Senator Tom Tillis.
With Matt Gaetz, you're being misconstrued right now as saying that you may vote for him and confirm his nomination.
Well, that's because the press doesn't pay attention to what I said. Maybe if you record it, you can play this back verbatim. The president deserves to put forth a nominee. The president has an obligation to make sure that that nominee is going to pass vetting and have the votes on the floor. I will consider Matt Gaetz like I will anybody else, but if they don't do the homework, don't be surprised if they fail. Maybe they've already done that work. That's how this process works.
Were you surprised to see him as a nominee?
Look, nothing surprises me in politics. Nothing. And I'm okay with this. But at the end of the day, we have a process, and we'll just have to run through it. And I've seen Mr. Gaetz and I have sparred back and forth on social media. I don't care about that. I spar with these folks, and I still work with them. What I care about is a defensible resume and a really clean vetting. Produce that, he's got a chance. Don't, and he doesn't.
Do you think he has
and that could be said for any nominee coming out of the Biden administration.
Well, you want to see the House ethics report on Gaetz?
I suspect it'll come out either in vetting anyway. So whether or not I want to see it's irrelevant. I'm almost certain that it will come out if he gets them forth.
And that pressure is only going to build. The attorney for the minor who Gaetz is accused of having sex with also called for the Ethics Committee to release their report on Gaetz. Quote, Mr. Gaetz's likely nomination as Attorney General is a pervasive development in a truly dark series of events. We would support the House Ethics Committee immediately releasing their report. She was a high school student and there were witnesses. And that point right there does seem to be one of the worst kept secrets in Washington, D.C. I'm
going to stop here for just a second. I mean, just think about this. I mean, we slipped into some kind of alternate universe a few years ago, and we've never gotten back on track. But never mind the fact that Matt Gaetz is totally unqualified to be Attorney General. He has, the guy got a law degree. He's never practiced law before. Never been an attorney, never been a judge, but yet he could potentially be the Attorney General. Set all that aside for a minute. He's also an absolute scumbag with no ethics. There's going to be this ethics report coming out, hopefully. And the guy is running away from Congress to try to avoid this ethics report coming out. But yet Donald Trump, this wannabe mob boss, is going to put him up as Attorney General. It's just unreal. I mean, we've become such an unserious country. It's pathetic.
Kevin McCarthy and other Republicans reiterating that point.
Is it simply because he led the charge to push
No, I just don't think Gaetz is a conservative. I mean, and if you think about it, if there's anybody who should go to trial, I mean, Gaetz is one who should be convicted in a trial.
Why? Why do you say that?
Well, we all know the challenge here. You can't sleep with underage women and think you can get away with it. I mean,
he denies that.
Well, the women don't, and so there's people in jail because of it, and I think that's a place that people should have a court. I just don't think that as an individual should be represented in Congress.
You made a lot of concessions in the negotiations.
No, I didn't.
Okay, is that
Let's get to the bottom of that.
Right?
That is such a misnomer in life. Let me give you the truth about that now. And I'll give you the truth why I'm not Speaker. It's because one person, a member of Congress, wanted me to stop an ethics complaint because he slept with a 17-year-old. An ethics complaint that started before I ever became Speaker, and that's illegal, and I'm not going to get in the middle. Did he do it or not? I don't know. But ethics is looking at it. There's other people in jail because of it.
The House is a rough and rowdy place, but Mike Johnson is going to be just fine. I served 20 years in the military. It's my absolute honor to be in Congress, but I served with some real scumbags. Look, Matt Gaetz, he paid minors to have sex with him at drug parties. Bob Good endorsed my opponent, a known neo-Nazi. These people used to walk around with white hoods at night. Now they're walking around with white hoods in the daytime.
So look, I want to be clear about a couple of things here. On one hand, in fairness, it is important to note that the DOJ opted not to charge Matt Gaetz. On the other hand, we already know that Merrick Garland's DOJ values avoiding the optics of politicization above all else, and even waited years before they deigned to allow a special prosecutor to look at the crimes of January 6th as far as Donald Trump was concerned. Also worth noting, the obvious that Matt Gaetz resigning 48 hours before the release of this report doesn't exactly scream nothing burger. Sometimes it is as simple as the fact that where there's smoke, there's fire. And Gaetz is making a lot of smoke. Granted, even for this party that has the audacity to beat its chest as some champions of law and order, I do presume that the vast majority of Republicans are perfectly content to cede all control to Donald Trump. That means most Republicans will block the release of this report. It means most Republicans will vote to confirm him as Attorney General. Here is the literal personification of what I mean.
There's no question he's the leader of our party. So now he's got a mission statement, his mission, and his goals and objectives, whatever that is, we need to embrace it. All of it. Every single word. If Donald Trump says jump 3 feet high and scratch your head, we all jump 3 feet high and scratch our heads. That's it.
For a party of self-proclaimed alphas, there is nothing that this Republican Party wants more than to curl up in the protective warmth of Donald Trump's colon.
I absolutely love this line from Brian Tyler Cohen. And he is so right. Trump is their daddy. And these men, there are a bunch of them. And they're, so many of them are male. There are women as well. But these men who, they're the alpha guys and all that, as Brian Tyler Cohen is saying. And they can't wait to lick Donald Trump's boots every single day. It's absolutely nauseating. And I just can't imagine having so little self-respect that you would suck up to a horrible person like Donald Trump. It's just unbelievable. But this is where we are, and we have millions of people in the country that would love to be in that position as well. But Brian Tyler Cohen's line there is much better than what I would come up with.
They just want to be dominated by Daddy Trump and will cede every ounce of their dignity, their integrity, and their power in the process. So the next 24 hours are going to be especially interesting in terms of whether this report is outright released or perhaps even leaked, which I certainly don't think is off the table, is out of the question, considering the Ethics Committee obviously felt so strongly about what it had uncovered that even with a Republican majority, they opted to keep their work going. Meaning there is a non-zero chance that if the Democrats don't leak it, even the Republicans might. But regardless of what route they go, something tells me that Gaetz' grand plan of trying to avoid accountability might have had a fatal flaw built in.
So like Brian Tyler Cohen is saying here, hopefully, I mean, I agree, hopefully this ethics report comes out one way or another, whether it's a leak or not. And Matt Gaetz, I would love nothing more than to see this creep brought down. And also it would hurt Donald Trump, so that would be a twofer there. But back to Kevin McCarthy here. You know, Kevin McCarthy is another figure that I don't particularly like, but over the last few years of the Trump being on the national scene, I really understood the true meaning of strange bedfellows. You know, Kevin McCarthy, I don't feel is a particularly good guy, but he got burned by Matt Gaetz, and it seems to be his mission to just take that piece of garbage, Matt Gaetz, out. And it's hilarious to see because Kevin McCarthy minces no words, so it's highly entertaining. But what do you think? Do you think Brian Tyler Cohen is right here that there's a really high chance that this ethics report is going to come out one way or another? And do you think it will take Matt Gaetz down? There are a lot of people that are saying that Matt Gaetz is just a distraction, that this will soak up all the media's time and then Trump can get his other people through. What do you think about that? Let me know in the comments about Matt Gaetz, Brian Tyler Cohen, Donald Trump, any of these other figures. Make sure to give me a like and subscribe. I just went over 40,000 subscribers, which has been a goal. I want to get to 50,000, 100,000 and beyond. So if you like what I'm doing here and you want to subscribe, please do so. That'll help me out. This is Chris on Culture, and I will see you in the next video.